So what we're trying to draw based off what's on the left board up here, which, by the way, for our friends playing along at home, let's make sure, maybe you can see the left board now. So there is our expression comparison mat, is what we're going to call that. So if you want to add the word comparison, but if you'd like to give your mat a little header on top, that's an expression mat. And we have actually two expressions. We're going to have expression A and expression B kind of compared to each other. One of the kind of more easy ways to do this, but you won't always have a computer, is CPM has actually made this into a digital tool. So where we made mat A, mat B, left side, right side, and then might put some little squares on it, CPM made it a digital tool. So today in class we'll probably use the digital tool, but your other option is all of these little coffee cans, beyond smelling delicious, if you ask me, have our algebra tiles in them. But right now, we're starting by only using the one tiles, which means the little squares. The little, so not these. These are x squared tiles. If you want to use the actual tiles, you got to dig to the bottom and get to the little squares. You don't need to. Not right now, because we're going to use the ebook, but you can if you want to, right? I'm not telling you you have to. You can if you want to. So if we look at problem 1, and problem 1 loads up to look like this, so hopefully I've vamped for enough time that you guys have all caught up to me. I want you to turn to your neighbor and talk about what could we start doing to try to clean things up and get towards being able to say which mat is bigger. And then we haven't used random cards in days, so I'll give you a minute or two to try to see if you can figure out which mat is bigger. What is the final value of each side? Because guys, we're working this separately, left side, right side, separate from each other, and then we'll start using random cards. All right, talk with each other. Careful if you stack them on top of each other, because the computer can't stop you from doing that. If you're just trying to pair those together, I would leave it so it's not stacked. I'd leave it so you can see both of them. So so a little bit of advice, just as I saw Emery stacking tiles on top of each other, I would not stack them because then it's hard to tell what actually happened. If you're trying to pair them up, I would just put them beside each other. Right? If you're trying to pair up tiles, I would not stack them. I would just put one next to each other. And if you haven't thought to do that, why might Emery be doing that right now? Talk with your partners. What can we do? Try to make a little bit more space over here. Move some of the cabinets out of the way so we've got space to sit. So I hope this is working out. People on this side of the table will have to turn a little bit. Get some ab workout in, right? Get that rotational. Well, that's how you work your abs. Well, I mean, there's various ways to work your abs, but. All right, Carolina, why do you think, I forget where people are sitting today, why do you think Emery was trying to pair up positive and negatives? So they could cancel each other out and give 0. What do you mean? Oh, never mind. So by cancel out, guys, you got to be careful using these slang math words, because some of your teachers have used them in weird ways. We're making 0, right? Because sometimes when people think 5 divided by 5, those cancel, that's different. So, hey Raiden, what do you think I'm going to tell you? Why did it take me talking for about 20 seconds and then me addressing the issue instead of you realizing, a teacher is teaching, I should stop? For real, if you don't know, that's a problem. Did nothing trigger in your brain, hey, somebody's teaching, I should stop playing with a toy? Then we need to work on that. So a positive one and a negative one will cancel out, quote unquote. Really, we're forming 0 pairs. So if you haven't done this, form as many 0 pairs as you can on the left. Form as many 0 pairs as you can on the right. But when we have 0, it doesn't matter left side of the screen so you know it came off the left side, and if it came from the right side, take it off the right side. Ooh, I'm trying to move too fast. I did not work my way all the way through these. Look at number 5. So we talked about this. I've decided I got to get rid of candy. I was trying to get us to be at least above 50% to earn this. But I got to get rid of some candy so I can get some new candy because I've had this since the beginning of the year. So, yeah, I know. That's what I want to do. I want to reward classes that are doing what they're supposed to do. So, when we compare just the Math 7 classes, so 1A versus 3A, we're comparing how many people turned in all their homeworks. Now, if you were absent, you didn't go into this count. But how many people turned in all their homeworks either when they were due on Friday or yesterday, right? So if you were to think in your head, if you look around the room, what percent of our class has all their homeworks turned in? If we're better than block 3, I'm giving all you a piece of candy. If not, block 3 is a piece of candy. I'm confused at why your hand is up, but what's up? So I'm going to tell you block 3's percent first. Because then it's easier, because then you'll know if you won or not. Just want to tell you guys. You want to make a guess at what block 3 was at?
75. I'd say like
63.
63.
Between 30 and 40, Bethany. Emery.
80.
So Bethany pegged it. Block 3 was at 50%. Half of them had their homework turned in when it's supposed to be. So the question is, do you think our class is better than that or not?
No chance.
Why?
Because no one turns in their homework.
Why?
Only like 3 or 4 people do.
Why?
Because they just can't apply themselves.
Why?
I don't know. Ask them. Because
Why?
Procrastinate.
44%. Which is legitimately one of us away from beating block 3. If one more of us had all our homework turned in. One of us. So when you think, oh, it doesn't matter, what I do doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. One of you different, and you'd all be getting a piece of candy right now. Do your job. I can't make you care. I can't care for you. You have to decide that you give a crap. Guys, it's middle school math. This is 7th and 8th grade math. This is what you're going to use in your life. I'm not going to preach at you that you're going to use calculus or you're going to use certain amounts of geometry you will use. But algebra, what we're about to tackle, what we're getting into, you will use every single day of your life. Or you'll get ripped off, end up broke. You're going to get hosed. You're going to get screwed if you don't understand math. People will take advantage of you. They will take your money. You will end up ripped off. I can't care for you. I can try to incentivize you, but that's all I can really do. One person different. So we only have 2 homeworks due this week. Hopefully we could do better next week than we did this week. All right, so back to our math problem because that was disappointing. Jack, do I have more zeros to make up here?
Yes.
Yeah, I still got positives and negatives, right? So any positive, negative pair. And guys, by the way, as we're playing with Desmos, realize you can click drag and capture more things than just one thing and get them off at the same time. So over here, all right, crap. I'm done. Wait. I have a positive one over there and a negative one over there. Can I, Sophia, make a 0 with those? I have a positive one over there and a negative one over here. Can I make zeros with those?
It looks like there's like a divided half, so you can't cross the line.
We can cross the line, but something weird happens when we do that. There's like a fence in the middle here, right? It's like your property, your neighbor's property. We can, these are not together, We're going to leave them apart. So what's the value of the left side right now? 2. What's the value of the right side?
-3.
So which side's bigger?
2.
The left side, right? So if we were to try to put an inequality symbol here, remember the gator eats the bigger number? And the reminders of these inequalities are on your paper. Take a moment, look at the examples from class section. We also need to pay careful attention to the reminder that I put on here for you when we're doing this work on paper. Look at problem 6-6. Here's your reminder of which tiles are positive and negative when we're doing this on paper. Remember, like we talked about with like t-shirt printing, blank, like empty, is negative space. Empty tiles are negative space. So you might want to like make some sort of indication on your paper or remind yourself over like by A to like draw an arrow over to the reminder. But so like we have positives and negatives. Anytime you have a positive with the same value negative, they can cancel out, quote unquote cancel, and make 0. So this x positive and this x negative, what happens with this positive and negative x? Oh, hey, look, they pair together. Oh, somebody could have told me sooner. What? No, I'm like referencing the piece of paper. This is what I'm trying to make you look at. That filled in is positive, empty is negative. So over here in part A, what happens when you have positive x and negative x?
They cancel each other out.
What happens when we have positive 1 and negative 1?
Cancel each other out.
Hey, you could be starting your homework right now. So what does this part A end up being? -2. Back in our ebook, let's click on the 6-2 e-tool. So just moving on to the next one, the 6-2 e-tool. Try that out with you and your partner, making zeros and cleaning stuff up. Try the 6-2 e-tool. Are you bringing tiles in? Well, I just don't know why. Like, are you doing the 6-2? Did you go back to the ebook like I gave the directions of go back to the close this? Back to the ebook and we're in 6-2. Where are you? Why are you doing the homework? So, the first problem we did was 6-1 e-tool. The second problem is the 6-2 e-tool. We're doing this. Making zeros. Matt, give me one thing I could do on the left side. Combine works. Matt says we can combine the positive x and the negative x. Hey guys, look up here real quick. Guys, if you're doing your homework right now, you're about to make me stop giving out the homework at the beginning of class. It's really obvious that some of you are ignoring my teaching and doing your homework, and then you don't know how to do the rest of your homework because you only could get through the problems that you could get through, and you didn't listen to my teaching. Stop it. I don't want to change what we're doing. I want you to have the homework as soon as you walk into class, so if there's free time, you can do it, but if I'm teaching, I'm teaching. X, we don't know what it is. Right, so remember, we don't know what x is, and we also don't know what x squared is, so realize there are sliders over here that can just remind us we don't know how big x actually is. But a positive x and a negative x, regardless of how big they are, will cancel out, but I don't want to get the x squared with it. Okay, so that's one thing we did on the left side. Safe, what's one thing I can do on the right side?
You can also do the same thing with the on the left side.
Same thing we did on the left side. That feels like it's like fair, right? Because we did the same thing. I mean, not necessarily, like, that's not what makes it fair, but this is interesting. Ezekiel, can you think of anything else that we could do? And it doesn't just have to be on one side. This is where I want you paying attention to what we're about to go over. You're also allowed to do. If you imagine that this is your side of the desk and this is your partner's side of the desk, and I come around and let's say next week y'all are more successful, and guys, honestly, the bar is set at 50%, is what block 3 did. So I come around and I give Matt a piece of candy, but I say, Sam, you don't get one. Is that fair? No, not if the whole class won. Right? If we're going class versus class, even if one person doesn't do their homework, like if you win as a group, sometimes your team has to carry you. Now it sucks when you're the person doing the carrying, and if you're the person being carried, maybe grow up and do your job. Look up here. What we can do to both Matt's side of the desk and Sam's side of the desk is the same thing, no matter what it is. I could give each of them a piece of candy, and this is still, quote unquote, the same as it was. Right? Because I just gave them both one. And now that I gave them both one, what could I do?
You could put one of the negatives in the positive there.
I can make a 0 on both sides now and get rid of more tiles. Can I do that again? Yeah, let's give Matt and Sam both as many ones as we need to cancel out as many 0s as we can. So go ahead and do this. If you scroll down on the left side, you can bring in more tiles. As long as you're giving both sides the same thing, you're allowed to do whatever you want as long as you keep it fair. Got to do the same thing to both.
So you could actually just get rid of the x squared by bringing another x squared for both.
So Emery, look up here. I got more to teach you. Emery wants to bring in another x squared, but we really want it to be negative. Guys, if you haven't realized this yet, when you bring a tile over, if you then click it, it'll flip and become the opposite of what it was. So Emery said, well, can we get rid of the x squareds? We can if we bring in negative x squareds.
Wait, but Mr. Hudson, then doesn't that mean that we can just bring everything out, cancel everything until there's only the one negative one on this side, on the left side?
Yeah, it does mean that. One more.
Can we do that on our homework too?
0.
Or is that a stupid question?
0. 0. Hold on. Which side is greater?
The right one.
No, the right.
The right one.
Greater means either closer to positive or more positive, right? Greater means up the number line. So which side is further up the number line, -1 or 0? 0. So which side's greater here? Even though it's got a 0, 0 is greater than -1. Questions on that? That 0 can be your greater value. Emery?
Could you do this on our homework, for B?
Now hold up, come back here. Here, look up here again. I need eyes. So I'm trying to make your life easier. I think some of you don't believe me. I made 0s, right? Now we said we can do the same thing, or we can do whatever we want, as long as we do the same to both. So last time I brought in positive 1s. Guys, what if I just want to take away 4 negatives from the right? Can I take away 4 negatives from the right? Yeah. If I do the same on the, can I take away 4 negatives over here? I don't even need to bring in the extra positive 1s. As long as I'm being fair and doing the same thing, I can get rid of these. I can get rid of these. take away x squared from both sides. So I'm allowed, since I can do it from both sides. Negative 1 and 0. These are things we're allowed to do because algebra says you can do whatever you want as long as you keep it fair. Go to the 6-3. Go to the 6-3 E tool. Yeah, we're slowly brainwashing you into algebra. You're never going to walk in a room that says like, this is algebra. Well, maybe I should do that someday. But no, like, this is algebra. This is algebraic thinking. This is what you're going to utilize every single day.
How?
It's just the things you are asked to do in life. Like, it's algebraic thinking.
Why is life easier? And we just use calculator.
Because our brains are wired to understand algebra because it's one of those like, well, that's fair, that's not fair. Like, oh, this is like equality versus this is not equality. Right? Like, and we're about to start talking about what if we start by knowing one side's bigger than the other, like we know that. Like everything's not always equal. Look at 6-3. Let's go to this E tool. Go ahead and figure out what you can do because then I'm going to random card to get help from you guys of what can we do to simplify these sides as much as possible. What can we do to simplify the sides as much as possible? You guys already talked through 6-3? Like, if you could answer the questions I'm going to be asking, then yeah, now is an appropriate time. You could be working on homework. My advice is I like to start with making zeros. Start with making zeros. I hope everyone working on their homework has already done 6-3, but it looks like we can go ahead and start talking about it. Eli, since my advice is start with zeros, do we have any zeros that can be made?
Yeah.
How many? Well, and where?
Well, 3 in total. You can make 1. Yeah, 2, and then make 1.
Nice. Keeping things fair, left side versus right side, right? We can't cross this fence right now. So Eli said I can make 1 0 over there. I can make 2 zeros over here. I only want to get the zeros. Sweet. Bethany, what else can I do? Eli started me with making zeros.
Then you could take away 2 1s from the.
Ooh, so Bethany's looking at these ones next
And then.
and saying take them away on both sides. On both sides.
Is that a song?
Shama loves that,
Yeah.
by the way. She just absolutely, it makes her day.
We really had a song about it.
And then, Arfon, what can I do now?
Get rid of the X's.
Where?
On both sides.
On both sides. Then you guys are going to wake up in the middle of the night and go, on both sides. So now, what do we have? Ashley not here. Lane not here. Emery, what do we have?
4
Compared to?
0
Which is bigger?
4.
0.
Ooh, here.
Okay, who said 0? Oh, fine.
Guys, the 4 is positive. I know last time 0 was our greater value, but the 4 is positive. Which, guys, by the way, I hate what I just did. Red, in your brain, red should mean negative. In your brain, so guys, with algebra tiles on the computer, with tiles that I might have up here, red is negative. But your homework is not printed in color, so empty is negative, right? Empty is negative. But seriously, in the world of accounting, like red is negative.
Is
It just that's like a societal like a stop sign. That's a negative thing. You gotta stop.
like in like bad things? That's why like red stuff is bad.
Now,
Like,
conversely,
movies,
with tomorrow being what it is, red is also notorious as being a color of like passion, right? Of like intensity, right? Like, oh, he saw red. Like sometimes that's bad. Sometimes it's just intensity. All right, let's see what else we're supposed to do.
Wait, is tomorrow actually Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Adrian thought today was Valentine's Day. No. That Gaber.
Hey, real quick, so I have a bit more confidence. Let's run through 2 of these, and then I do want to give you guys homework time. But before we run through 2 of these, I'm going to pass out the next homework just so we can get through class quicker tomorrow and hopefully maybe have some more homework time. So I'm trying to get you guys caught up. Here, I'll let one of you guys pick. Sophie, pick a letter, A, B, C, or D. Just pick a letter. B, everyone work on B. 6-5B, go to that student e-tool. Work on B. Try to clean it up as much as possible. Figure out which side is greater. What? Are you about to tell me you're totally caught up on math? Oh, I was going to get those best. Well, and you didn't count to that percentage because you were sick Friday and what? Like you didn't count on that percentage. I just dropped both numbers by one. You know what I mean? I took you out of the total. Keep this out because we're gonna fill in the top part where it says what legal moves can we do. So actually, I'm probably just gonna set this on your guys' bins so then you can grab it when we're ready to talk about it. You don't have a bin over here. Womp womp.
Mr. Hudson, I found the loophole for your no, like for your no easy. Let's say simple instead.
There you go.
Well, you just said it. Remember, you just said it. Like, there's a loophole.
I didn't give you that. What? But my computer broke?
Oh no.
Did your guys' e-tool work?
Yeah. It just.
Okay. I guess sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
Raiden, tell me one thing I could do on... Well, I don't care. Tell me one thing I could do.
On the left, combine the x with negative x.
Combine the x with the negative x on the left-hand side, and then because it's 0, what could we do? Just get rid of it, right? Get it off of our mat because we don't need it there anymore. Come on, give me one more thing we could do. Ooh, do the negative x's from both sides. Pause. Look at the 612 I just put in front of you. The 2 things we just said are the 2 things we're about to write down. What are the legal moves we're allowed to do in our expression mats? What did Raiden have us do? So, we can make zeros. I guess I could write in a pen. Make zeros and remove. And actually, it's 0 pairs if you want to be specific. Make 0 pairs. Now, if you need that reminder of like a positive and a negative.
Can I just put P plus N?
I mean, it's your notes. These are for you. So, I mean, yes, whatever works for you.
You got that, Mr. Hudson.
And remove, right? We can just, because they're 0, we can remove them. All right, that's what Raiden had us do. Then Kamal wanted us to do what? So remove from both sides, right? So the other thing, so we can make 0 pairs. The second thing, and guys, I would number these or do something so you know these are 2 different things. The second thing we can do is actually add or remove. So we could like add or remove from both sides as long as you do the same thing to both sides. Really, you can do anything. So actually, I'm just going to, really, we could do anything as long as we do it to both sides. And just for Shama, on. So I'm not going to put to both sides. I'm going to put on both sides.
Is that like an actual like anime song or something?
No, I just started doing it during math class and it bothered her. So I'm the youngest child in my family. And something about youngest children, we kind of like to annoy our older siblings. It's like one of the only powers that we have very little power. Right? The youngest child is the smallest, the youngest. Like, you can't go on the roller coasters that your siblings are. You got very little power. But when you find something that annoys people, and you're like, ooh, I got power. So the on both sides thing is just kind of a little... But it's helping people remember the trick with algebra is on both sides. So if I go back to our algebra mat and do what Kamal told me to, remove those -2, remove those -2, what else, Jane, can I do on both sides? Ooh, I could do one negative from both sides. Ooh, are you saying zeros? Ah, so we're back to more zeros. 0, 0, 0. Sweet. Sam, anything else I can do to both sides to just get more? I could, or I don't even have to, because if I say take away 1, take away 1, take away 1, take away... As long as I do the same thing, that's fine. I'm going to give you the last 5 minutes to work on your homework, because I would really like us to do better this week. Absolutely, especially because it's homework time. Hold on, let me stop the recording. And then...